getting high in the middle of the afternoon off some weed.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's installment of the Huddle Chat Sports Show, brought to you by Ma Energy. First of all, let's not avoid the obvious conversation. Today we're going to get into a heavy Super Bowl reaction and a heavy Super Bowl recap. What happened on Sunday? A lot of people are confused, a lot of people are shocked, a lot of people are bewildered. And of course, we're going to talk about that here live today. Again, I'd like to thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Again, like I said, presented by Ma Energy. I would like to apologize to everybody for the late start on today's episode. If you may or may not have seen the social media post, just got a little bit busy at work and stuff, had to stay a little bit late. So just got me kicked off on the episode a little bit late tonight, but that's okay. So first of all, thank you to all of you tuning in live on Facebook, like always, every Tuesday, typically about 8:15 to 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And of course, officially, I'm excited to announce for the first time, officially returning back to YouTube and soon to becoming where you listen to all your favorite podcasts via audio. So you're getting ready to see the Huddle Chat Sports any way that you would like to, any way that you enjoy your favorite podcasts. You don't just have to tune into the Facebook Live every week. There'll be multiple options for you to see me and the Huddle Chat Sports, and there'll be a lot of different ways for you to get all the information that we bring to you here on your favorite cannabis-powered yet sports-driven talk show, otherwise known as the Huddle Chat Sports, THC Sports. Today is Tuesday, February 9th. And of course, to get things started off a little bit differently than normal, actually, I'd like to start off a little bit of a new segment that I'd like to call, that I'm going to be typically starting off most of my episodes with, called Words on the Tweet. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking at different Twitter accounts from different NFL, NBA, MLB analysts, insiders, and be bringing you all the news, information, and even the funny side of social media, of course, because that's hard to deny. I think more often than not, we're going to be hitting the funny side of social media. So let's get kicked off on that. What is the word on the tweet today? Let's check it out. It's looking like sources are saying that right now, the Rockies are offering their asking price for their star shortstop, Trevor Story, is a one month Netflix subscription and a case of Mountain Dew Major Melon. I'm not going to lie to you, that's a pretty good asking price. And I can't lie to you, I think that's a little bit more money than the Rockies are used to typically getting. So we're going to see if they end up getting that. Maybe they get downgraded to a 6-pack, maybe some live wire, maybe some code red. We'll see how the negotiations work. But I do agree that is absolutely ridiculous. Of course, that's all coming in the news of the Nolan Arenado trade. Hopefully the Rockies are still able to maintain said Trevor Story, but we'll see. I don't know, man. That Major Melon is pretty tasty, so we'll see how it's going. Sadly, the NFL just recently this week lost NFL legend Marty Schottenheimer, and it did not take too long for the Washington Post to start throwing jabs at my man Marty, to be honest with you. And it's a little bit upsetting to see. Looks like we actually got the clip going as well, the intro. Ignore the intro. But as you see, Marty Schottenheimer, NFL coach whose team wilted in the postseason, died at 77. I'm not going to lie to you, Washington Post, that's kind of a pretty fucked up situation there. You're taking a obituary and turning it into a place where you're going to throw shade. You may or may not have known, Marty Schottenheimer was a coach of the Washington football team in the early 2000s. Didn't, of course, do very well. When has the Washington football team done very well? But on a serious note, rest in peace to Marty Schottenheimer. Thoughts are with him and his family. We do hate to hear that here on the Huddle Chat Sports Show. Again, rest in peace to Marty Schottenheimer. Like I said, this just really messed up that the Washington Post really didn't take much time to throw shade at Marty Schottenheimer. I'm not going to lie to you. Let's see what else is going on. Word on the tweet wise. Of course, we all knew. We were expecting it. We were expecting greatness to walk in on Sunday at the Super Bowl. We were expecting him to walk out with back-to-back Super Bowls, and he was successful. And no, I'm not talking about Patrick Mahomes. As you see in the graphic over here to my left, LaShawn McCoy repeated as the Super Bowl champion despite not playing one snap in either of those games. But some can say that it is well deserved after multiple seasons. I believe it was 8 seasons of 1,000+ yards. So LeSean McCoy did earn and deserve that championship. It's crazy. LeSean McCoy was a part of the Philadelphia Eagles for so long, and they did nothing. Then the Philadelphia Eagles win a Super Bowl. LeSean McCoy goes elsewhere, goes to the Chiefs and wins a Super Bowl, and then goes to the Buccaneers and wins a Super Bowl. And like I said, despite not even having to put his helmet on one time during the entire Super Bowl weekend. Absolutely ridiculous. Congratulations to LeSean McCoy. Well earned. He actually announced his retirement from the NFL today on a serious note. And it's a great career. Now he can add to his career. He's now a 2-time back-to-back repeat Super Bowl champion. So like I said, congratulations to said Sean McCoy. I mean, you couldn't have had it any easier. I mean, and when you look at the Buccaneers running back situation, just to think that they had LeSean McCoy just sitting there, resting, waiting to be thrown into the game. I mean, tells you how stacked that Tampa Bay Buccaneers situation was. Like I said again, congratulations to LeSean McCoy. All right, now that was the word on the tweet for the day. Now, getting back to a little bit more serious of a note, of course, like I said, first things first, we got to get kicked in. There's a main thing on everybody's mind, and that's what just happened. That ass whooping that we all just watched this last weekend up on Sunday with the Buccaneers and Tom Brady winning his 7th ring and becoming the winningest player above all franchises in NFL history. And you heard that right. There's no franchise. You may already know this, you may not know this, but no franchise in the NFL, not just one player, but entire franchises together, have more Super Bowls than Tom Brady himself. Not the New England Patriots, not the Pittsburgh Steelers, not the Dallas Cowboys, not nobody. No one can say that they have as many Super Bowls as Tom Brady. Tom Brady is officially cemented as the GOAT, and I'm not going to lie to you, I don't think anybody can take that from Thomas Edward Patrick Brady himself. No one can take that from him. I mean, I think it's going to be physically impossible for anybody to go to 7 or more Super Bowls and win them. But we shall see. Patrick Mahomes is locked into his contract for 10+ years. We've got a lot of great, prospects coming out. So we will see. Nobody expected Tom Brady to be Tom Brady. So we shall see. Only time will tell. But I don't think Tom Brady's GOAT will ever be uncemented. I don't think anybody will ever be able to budge Tom Brady from the conversation to GOAT. Like I said, especially considering the fact that no franchise together has as many Super Bowls as Tom Brady does all by himself. It's absolutely outrageous. Now, as far as the reaction to this weekend Super Bowl, I mean, just like most of America, it was a shocking game. I mean, I was expecting Tampa Bay to come in and score 30+ points, and if you don't believe me, go back to last week's episode again on Facebook Live just 7 days ago. I said I thought both teams were going to score 30+ points. It was no surprise to me that Tom came in and did what he did and was able to absolutely destroy and make a joke out of that Chiefs defense, which really wasn't that great itself. Tyrann Mathieu was chomping the whole time, getting nothing done. And I'm seeing a lot of conversation come about the penalties that got called in that game. And here on the Huddle Chat Sports Show, I think there was a fair amount of penalties called. Now, I had to explain this to one of my coworkers today, and it was pretty funny. He's somebody that doesn't quite understand football that very well, so I had to break it down to him. And he explained it to him like he's 5. The Kansas City Chiefs play what is known as sticky defense. Now, depending on the officiating crew, they may be allowed to play. They may let a little bit more hand fighting go down. They may let a little more aggression go down, especially in the playoffs, and especially in this year's playoffs. I was actually extremely happy with the low level of calls that we got on the pass interference side on offense and defense throughout the entire playoffs. The refs seemed to be letting them play. That was not the case in the Super Bowl. The Kansas City Chiefs got called for a lot of what could be considered ticky-tack fouls, but at the end of the day, when you look at it, they were penalties. They were pass interference calls, but that's just how the Kansas City Chiefs play defense. I'm hearing a lot of blame come to the refs, and at the end of the day, you can't blame the refs. the MVP of the game, the most important portion of the game, was Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator, and the defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They did everything that they needed to do this Sunday. They checked every single box that they needed to check in order to ensure success. I mean, they were able to they were able to keep Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce in check. I mean, it did not help that Sammy Watkins and Mecole Hardman were absolute no-shows. The Kansas City Chiefs were fairly effective at running the football, but they were not able to get many big plays going. They did not, whenever they did run the football, it did not get the momentum going like they wanted to. The reason that a defensive player did not win the MVP and it ended up going to Tom Brady is because there were too many players on the defensive side of the ball that played absolutely outstanding for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, you look at Devin White, who absolutely killed it on Sunday, shut down runs, was all over Patrick Mahomes, was all over the pass coverage. He was absolutely a force to be reckoned with when it came on Sunday to the Super Bowl. And, I mean, you look at Shaq Barrett, the former Denver Bronco, who did not get to shine at all against Denver, who was able to come in and absolutely make an insane impact. I mean, you look over at Levante David, who shut down Travis Kelce all game. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should sign him to a contract extension just to stay focused on shutting down Travis Kelce, because he did such a damn good job at keeping Kelce from doing Kelce-like things. There was too many people and too many points on the defense where they were absolutely outstanding out in Tampa Bay. So that's why a defensive player did not get the MVP award. But I think the most valuable portion of the game, the most important part of the game, MVP should go to Todd Bowles and that defense as a whole unit, because they stifled that Kansas City Chiefs offense. And who expected that the Kansas City Chiefs would not hit the end zone at all? Who expected a man in a pink onesie with his ass cheeks hanging out, running all over the place, would get into the end zone more times than Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire combined? I sure as hell didn't. I thought for damn sure the Kansas City Chiefs were going to come in and make Swiss cheese of that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. But what honestly made me the most happy as a person who did not have really any stake in the game, did not have a horse in the race, I was happy to see that the world got shown on Sunday that the most important part of football has not changed. It's still the same, and it's going to remain the same. And when I'm coaching my football team this spring and this fall, it's going to remain my message. Offensive and defensive line are the most important parts of the football game. It's something that my parents have told me my entire life. It's something that was instilled into me my entire life. I was an offensive lineman for the majority of my youth football and my high school football days. And so it's, of course, something that I believe and I believe true and in fact. But last week on Sunday, we got to see that the offensive and defensive line are the most important part of the games. The Kansas City Chiefs offensive line, they didn't play bad. They just played about as good as they were able to. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line, who I mind you was a top 5 offensive line throughout the year, coming up until about November. They were missing 4 offensive line in total. They were missing 4 offensive linemen in total. 3 offensive linemen starters. 2 of them were both of their starting left and right tackles. One of their offensive linemen that were playing, I believe on the right tackle, was a practice squad player in November. They called him up in late November to play because of all the injuries. So that top 5 offensive line got dwindled down more and more and more. And it just absolutely did not help them in any way that they were playing a dominant front 4. You have Vita Vea, JPP, you got Ndamukong Suh, and then they're even playing the best linebacker core in football with Levante David, Devin White, and then you got Shaq Barrett as well. They definitely have the best linebacker core in football right now. And like I said, they also have the best front 4 in the league. The name of the game on defense is to be able to get home and get pressure with your front 4 without having to blitz. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense was able to get pressure on over 50% of Patrick Mahomes' passes. They rushed him. They were in his face. Patrick Mahomes was everywhere running for his life. But the key fact is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers only blitzed on less than 10% of said pass plays. So in that same amount of plays, blitzing less than 10% of time, they were able to get home and get to Patrick Mahomes and cause problems for Patty over 50% of the time. And it was the main thing that anybody that watched even a few seconds of the Super Bowl could have pointed out and told you that Patrick Mahomes was running everywhere. He was running for his life. But the craziest part to me and the craziest part to everyone, including the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sideline, is that Patrick Mahomes was actually getting it done. Another big problem for the Kansas City Chiefs is Patrick Mahomes is getting it done, but everybody else just seemed like they did not come to play. You're looking at the pass like Patrick Mahomes gets a shoestring tackle, diving sideways, makes the throw while diving, falling out of bounds, an impossible throw, hits dude right in the face mask, and he drops it. He gets the impossible pass to you, and maybe it was because it was such an impossible pass that his own pass catcher was shocked and didn't even expect it to come and be catchable. You look at Tyreek Hill dropped a touchdown pass. You look at Travis Kelce dropping multiple passes, including that incredibly huge third down early in the game that really started to swing the momentum in Tampa Bay's way. Like I said earlier, Mecole Hardman, Sammy Watkins absolutely were no shows and did no help at all when it came to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce being shut down. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense and Todd Bowles did what they needed to do to stifle the superstars, and that's at the exact moment when you expect somebody like Sammy Watkins or like Mecole Hardman to step up and take advantage of the opportunity that they have, especially in the Super Bowl. It's not Week 10. This is for everything. If there's ever a time for you to step up as a role player, it's right now. And they definitely didn't do it. The Kansas City Chiefs did not help Patrick Mahomes at all. Excuse me. I'm hearing a lot of things pointing to the trouble that Andy Reid's son got in. I believe his name is Britt Reid. And that was a major distraction for the Kansas City Chiefs. And shamefully for the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm not going to lie to you. I read up on the story. I didn't quite know all the full details myself. But the Kansas City Chiefs as an organization never one time acknowledged what the son of head coach Andy Reid did. From what sources are saying, got into a drunk driving accident, caused a young girl under 5 years old to go to the hospital, and from what I'm being told, she's not going to make it through the week. My thoughts and prayers over here at THC Sports are with the family, but the Kansas City Chiefs as an organization did not ever acknowledge that, because that happened just a few days before the Super Bowl. The only person from the Kansas City Chiefs organization to acknowledge that was the son of the accused, of the accused accuser, I guess. Was Andy Reid. He came out and spoke about it after the Super Bowl, after the loss, after being questioned about it. And there's been no other word from the Kansas City Chiefs organization at the time of this recording right now. So I'm not going to lie to you, fairly disappointed in the Kansas City Chiefs on that standpoint. But I'm hearing that trouble was a big issue and a big distraction for the Kansas City Chiefs. Not making excuses for anybody, but it also does not go into the Kansas City Chiefs' favor that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing at home. They all woke up in their own beds, in their own living rooms on Sunday, were able to go to the stadium at their leisure. Kansas City had to travel, and they had to travel during COVID. They had to deal with what every other team up to this point, besides one being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, have had to deal with, and that's traveling to the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay had it easier, and at the end of the day, Tampa Bay was more focused. They were more prepared, and they were just the better team. They were healthier. They were all around the better team. Kansas City got straight up whooped, and I, like everybody else in America, am shocked by the outcome. I was expecting the Kansas City Chiefs to do more, but after the things I've laid out in front of you, and there's a lot more that I don't even have the time to go into, it's easy to see when you look in and you look beyond the cover of the book on why the Kansas City Chiefs were dealt with the way that they were on Sunday. And like I said, congratulations to Tom Brady, the GOAT, for winning his 7th Super Bowl championship. And going back to last week's episode, I was talking about 10 months ago, there was a lot of things that have happened in the last 10 months. And 10 months ago, if you would have told me certain things, I wouldn't have believed it. One of those things that I failed to mention was the fact that we are even in this game and we completed this game and we got successfully through the 2020 NFL season. Now, as an NFL fan, there's a lot of things that we don't know about, that we didn't see, that we didn't hear about, that were going on behind the scenes. And a lot of people were able to make this season possible, to make this game specifically possible. Coming up to even just the Super Bowl, even besides the entire season, coming up to just the Super Bowl, there were a ton of issues and a ton of obstacles standing in the way of getting the Super Bowl going and getting the Super Bowl successfully completed and on time. And there's a lot of people that are to thank for that. And I'd like to give a big shout out and a big thank you to Tampa Bay and Hillsborough County's COVID response for the Super Bowl. They did a lot of things. If you look up and go into the Florida Riverwalk and just what they were able to do in order to just make, like I said, make this game a success and allow us, not just for the players, but even allow us to have the minimal amount of fans that we did and give us the authentic Super Bowl experience. I'm actually talking about here in the next couple of weeks over on the Huddle Chat Sports Show. I'm going to be doing a documentary about the fan experience and about how COVID is going to be changing the fan experience and changing sports in the future. I've been doing a lot of research and reading a lot of articles, and like we can all just plain and simple see, COVID doesn't seem like it's really going anywhere. I heard something the other day that as the way that the vaccine rates are going, COVID's looking like it may not be 100% gone until the earliest 7.5 years. Now, fingers crossed that that doesn't happen. But as long as we have people, like I said, of the Hillsborough County COVID response team that were able to make the Super Bowl a success, and the other people in all of the other cities and states that helped make this whole NFL season a success, we're going to see how the fan experience is going to change, because one of the biggest portions of sports is the 12th man, the fourth phase. Fans need to return to sports, and all the stadiums, all the owners, all the sports teams know that, and they feel that this season was the best that we could do under the circumstances. But as humans, and as humans in 2021, with the knowledge and technology that we have, we are here to adapt, and we are going to change with the times no matter what comes and what goes. So I can already guarantee that in concerts, in stadiums, in sporting events, all of the things that we were used to doing, we're going to be allowed to do in the future. But there's going to be changes, as we've all come to see here in COVID. A lot of things have changed, and we've seen a lot of things about ourselves that we were doing before, in the before that aren't acceptable now. And we have to adapt and we have to change. And it's just like going to the grocery store. It's becoming commonplace to put on a mask and walk in the store. There's going to be commonplace changes that we're going to see in everyday life. And I want to take a deep dive here on the Huddle Chat Sports Show and look at how fan experience is going to change and what different sports leagues and what different sports teams are doing to ensure to get that 12th man, to get that fourth phase back. And that's going to be not maybe a portion that comes on Facebook Live. You're definitely going to be hearing a lot about it. So stay tuned about that. And again, like I said, that's going to be coming up on the Huddle Chat Sports Show. So before we move on into the next topic, I'd like to ask you for a little bit of help for one of the topics for today's episode. A little bit later in today's episode, we are going to be talking about what are your early predictions for the 2020 season. What do you think is going to be the Super Bowl matchup next season in 2021? Who do you think are going to be the AFC and NFC champions in 2021? Let me know in the comments today, and we're going to talk about that at the end of this episode. Like I said, what do you think is going to happen next season? I mean, you can tell me about trades, you can tell me about anything, but the main thing that I'm asking for is who do you think is going to be in the Super Bowl, winning the NFC championship, winning the AFC championship? I've already got my predictions sitting here for me, and I'm going to bring them to you later on at the end of this episode. Just drop me what you think in the comments. Now, moving on to the next portion of today's episode, right? I really want to talk about something, and I want to come out and I want to do something that I have not seen a lot of analysts do. I'm not a real analyst. At this point, I'm an aspiring analyst, but at the end of the day, I'm a fake analyst. I do this for fun. This isn't my job. And I haven't seen many analysts do what I'm about to do right now. and correct me if I'm wrong, but I would like to apologize. I'd like to apologize to one Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets. A couple weeks ago, everybody was talking about it, and even here on the Huddle Chat Sports Show, I talked about it. What the hell was going on with Kyrie Irving? Why is Kyrie Irving not playing basketball? You heard Stephen A. Smith out on First Take talking about Kyrie Irving should retire. He don't even want to play basketball anymore. I kind of jumped on that train. I jumped on that bandwagon. I talked about, man, what is going on with Kyrie Irving? The Brooklyn Nets, since acquiring James Harden, they're looking like they don't need Kyrie Irving. You might see Kyrie Irving moved on from. I did say I did not think that Kyrie Irving would be traded this season. I thought that they would wait and see and give Kyrie Irving the opportunity to do what he has been doing. Now, let's be real to each other, y'all. That man Kyrie Irving has been balling since he came back. There's no denying it. Kyrie Irving, since taking his absence, he came back, said he wanted to have a nice fair balance of his personal life and his work life and the NBA and his regular life. And he said he also had some family issues and a lot of different things that he had to work on in his regular life. And he took an absence away from basketball. He took a week or two away from basketball. And there was also a lot of things going on outside of the basketball court in the regular world that was taking Kyrie Irving's attention. And a lot of people condemned him for it, I being one of them. But Kyrie Irving has come out since the beginning, since he came out of his little vacation, his little staycation, and Kyrie Irving has been absolutely on fire. And I'm not going to lie to you, I said it a couple weeks ago, I think it's about time that we dub the Brooklyn Nets the next super team. I can't wait until we see, we come down into the end of the season, we get the remainder of the schedule, and we get to the playoffs, and we get the eventual matchup of the Brooklyn Nets and whoever they can play against. We're obviously all seeing the two Titans looking like they're coming to clash. LeBron and the Lakers, KD and the Nets look like they're probably going to be the two Titans that clash. Now, anything can happen, just like that they say in football, anything can happen on any given Sunday. So we can't count our chickens before they hatch. But it's become obvious that we've seen different players, Kevin Love being one of them, come out and speak about the issues of being an athlete, a star athlete, a superstar athlete, with all the expectation that comes from it, with all the attention that comes from it, with all the stress that comes just from preparing and working out and getting ready for game and getting ready for competition. You've heard of different athletes from different sports talk about the struggles, talk about their mental health issues. But as soon as we see a athlete, everybody always talks about, oh man, it's so great that they're speaking out and they're speaking about mental health. But as soon as an athlete takes the time, takes away his personal, his own money, takes away his personal love for the game, and we've seen Kyrie Irving. We know who Kyrie Irving is. Kyrie Irving is a basketball player through and through, down to his core. We all condemned this man for taking the space, taking the break, taking what you hear in some jobs called a mental health day. Granted, it was a little bit longer, but can you really blame these NBA players? I've actually talked about it myself. When did the NBA bubble end? Sometime a little bit before Christmas, before Thanksgiving, right? And then the bubble ended a little bit before Thanksgiving. They spent the entire summer in the bubble, weren't even allowed to see their family, weren't allowed to leave the bubble. Family wasn't allowed to come visit them. They spent all this time away from their family, from their friends, from their personal lives. And then they come back because of the delayed season and because of how late the bubble and the playoffs ended up running. They come back to basketball before Christmas is even started. Before they had to miss Christmas with their families after missing. I mean, that's what you get for being a professional athlete. I mean, I'm not saying that we necessarily pity party or whatever. I'm saying that you have to understand. I mean, how would you feel as a regular everyday person if you were asked to be away from your family for that long, and then of course to come to work a little bit early and miss Christmas with your family as well? And there's a lot of things, like I said, that were going on outside of the basketball court. There were a lot of things that are going on in Kyrie Irving's life that we may or may not even know about right now. But the fact of the matter is, Kyrie Irving took the time, took his space, got his mental right, and Kyrie Irving is balling. Kyrie Irving is back on the Brooklyn Nets, and it's been absolutely amazing to see. And with how James Harden, KD, and Kyrie Irving are clicking right now, they don't seem to be having the issues like everybody thought they would be, because all three players kind of have a style that requires them to get the ball a little bit more. They're working it out. Steve Nash, in his first year as a head coach, is doing the damn thing. Granted, he's got a great team behind him, and he could not have asked for a better opportunity as a first-year head coach with the team that he has right now. But the Brooklyn Nets, with all the questions, all the concerns, and Kyrie Irving, are doing it. And I don't see anybody getting in the Brooklyn Nets' way at all whatsoever. I see the Brooklyn Nets about to steamroll throughout the rest of the NBA season up into the playoffs. Granted, unless we see an injury, knock on wood, God forbid, we don't see any injuries or anything like that will hamper the Brooklyn Nets season or anybody's season. But I think the Brooklyn Nets are getting ready to steamroll all the way through the playoffs, and I think it's important to apologize to Kyrie Irving. I'm sorry for myself and many of the other sports analysts who condemned you, who talked that trash, who were talking about things that we shouldn't have been talking about. Because my man was just taking a little bit of space to himself. We all need a little bit of space. We all could use a little bit of change sometimes. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. Kyrie Irving proved to the world that it's very important to treat yourself. Despite who you are, despite what everyone says, despite what's expected of you. Sometimes you have to look and say, my own mental and physical well-being are better and more important than what's going on and what is required of me. And honestly, any decent human being should be understanding of that. So like I said, apologies goes out to Kyrie Irving, and congratulations to Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets organization for coming out and absolutely proving everybody wrong and dominating the NBA like they should be. Now, while we're on the topic of the NBA, I'd like to ask you yet another question. We're getting close to the halfway point of the NBA season. And now I'm not asking you for help for today's episode. I'm asking you for help for next week's episode. Who do you think is a front runner to win the NBA MVP award this season? Is it the obvious LeBron James? Is it the repeat Giannis Antetokounmpo? Is it the dark horse Nikola Jokic or Mitchell from Utah Jazz? Who do you think is the NBA frontrunner? Who do you think is going to win the NBA MVP next week on the Huddle Chat Sports Show next Tuesday at 8:15? We will be discussing what your options were and what my thoughts are on who next year or who this year's 2021 NBA MVP will be in the 2020-2021 season, and what everybody else's thoughts are. So like I said, drop it. You don't have to drop it in the comments. I will make a post on Twitter and on Facebook. Don't forget to go on Twitter at the Huddle Chat and on Facebook at THC Sports. You will see a post and you can interact with those as well. Make sure you give me a follow there as well, please. And we will be discussing, like I said, who do you think and what does everybody think will be the NBA MVP of this season. Now, changing gears up a little bit, we got to be talking about the really exciting events that are coming up. We've talked about the past events, but we really got to talk about the exciting events that are coming up. Now, coming into this year, at the end of the year of 2020, on my New Year's special, we talked about all the exciting events that were coming up in the UFC and how exciting as a UFC fan, as a fight fan, things were looking like they were going to be in the coming times with just the different crazy scheduled UFC events. We just got our triple header fight week. We just saw an absolutely crazy veteran pillar knocking down UFC event this last weekend with the last weekend's UFC event that just went down. Two big knockouts of two big pillars in the sport of the UFC. And coming up this weekend, we got Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian nightmare, fighting against Gilbert Burns, defending his belt. It's two big forces in the UFC right now. Two men that are on long-standing winning streaks. Two men that have been waiting to clash for a long time and have dominated the opposition up until this point. Like I said, both men are on extremely long winning streaks. I believe Gilbert Burns coming into this fight is on a six fight streak coming into this. And of course, the Nigerian Nightmare, we know what he's been doing, taking down Colby Covington and the likes thereof to remain the champion in the UFC. And what is going to happen in this UFC event and the coming UFC events? Honestly, this event is very exciting. I got honestly a lot of excitement built up for the entire card. The co-main event is going to be absolutely amazing. It's a women's UFC event. Make sure you look it up. It's UFC 258. Look at the card, pull it up on your phone, and see the matchups. I can't remember them all off the top of my head at the current moment, but you do have to check it out. Coming up in UFC 258, like I said, Marty Usman. If you didn't know, Kamaru Usman's real name is Marty. Colby Covington, as much as I hate him, did tell us that fact. But Marty Usman's facing off against Gilbert Burns, and honestly, I think this is going to be an easy fight for Marty Usman. Marty Usman is a better striker, even though he's not designated as a striker. He's a better striker, and he has won more fights via knockout and TKO. And at the end of the day, his main game is on the ground, and he's a better ground fighter than Gilbert Burns. They also, at the end of the day, used to be teammates, so they do know each other's game very well. So I do find this is going to be a very interesting fight. Both fighters have history, and they know each other fairly well. But I think when you look at both fighters' game and both fighters, when you look at them on tape, I think going into this on paper, Marty Usman should have a fairly easy fight. It's going to be a good fight, but it's going to all fall in Marty Usman's favor. Like I said, he is the better striker. He is the better ground fighter. So I think Marty Usman is going to easily come up with this. Now, coming up after this weekend's fight, after UFC 258, we have two in February 20th and February 27th. We have two absolutely amazing and intriguing UFC heavyweight main events. You have, let's see here, you got the two big heavyweight clashes. Rosenstruck, I believe, is fighting, and I can't remember. Derek Lewis is fighting again against Blades. So you're going to get a lot of questions answered in a 7-day span between February 20th and February 27th on a lot of big questions that have been unanswered in the heavyweight division, and a lot of things are getting ready to start settling down. So coming up here in a couple of weeks, of course, we're going to be recapping those big events. But the event that I am the most excited for, and thankfully it falls on the weekend of my birthday, March 6th, we're going to get the Israel Adesanya return, the last style bender. I'm not going to lie to you. As much as I love other UFC fighters, as much as I love Conor, as much as I love other MMA fighters, I got to say right now, 2021, Israel Adesanya is my favorite fighter to watch in the UFC. I just enjoy watching him. His fights are absolutely amazing. The way he fights is absolutely amazing. And being an anime fan, being the person that I am, I just like Israel Adesanya as a person. So everything about Israel Adesanya, I absolutely enjoy. So Israel Adesanya is my most favorite fighter in the UFC right now. So that card is going to be coming on March 6th. That's going to be his step up into the next division, going into the light heavyweight division, I believe it is. And he's going to be fighting Blachowicz. And he's fighting, I believe, for the title or for the chance to get the title. But either way, this heavyweight fight holds a lot of weight. I mean, it's not a heavyweight fight, it's a light heavyweight fight. This fight holds a lot of weight either way. And the card itself is absolutely amazing before the Adesanya fight, which I may even be a little bit more excited about, the return of Amanda Nunes. We are going to be able to see if Megan Anderson is going to be able to put a stop to the most dominant force that we may have ever seen in the UFC. I'm excited to see the return of Amanda Nunes, and I'm just excited to see the entire card. I do hear Scott O'Malley has been added to one of the cards. I don't believe it's the March 6th one. Don't quote me on that. I will look it up, have more information for you next week. But I have actually heard that another one of my favorite fighters to watch right now in the UFC, Scott E. O'Malley, is coming back into the UFC, and he's going to be added into one of these cards in the coming weeks as well. And then after March 6th, we have the cap of all of this through the month of March, which is going to be that Stipe Miocic Francis Ngannou #2 fight, the rematch that we've all been waiting for. Those two heavyweight titans clashing again in the middle of the octagon. The first fight was absolutely entertaining, and I cannot wait to see the second fight. And like I said, that's just the cap. That's the frosting on this cake. That's not even the most exciting matchup that we have in the UFC. But I want you to let me know, what do you think is the most exciting? What are you looking forward to most in the UFC in the coming weeks? Drop that down in the comments, or let me know on Facebook or Twitter what you are looking forward to most in these coming UFC events. Is it Marty Usman trying to come back as the Nigerian Nightmare and retain the belt? Is it going to be the last style bender, Israel Adesanya, and all the swagger that he carries, coming in and taking that step up and trying to follow in the steps of Conor McGregor and becoming a two division champion? Is it one of the heavyweight clashes? Is it Francis Ngannou? Is it Mr. Sweaty Balls himself, Derek Lewis? What are you most excited for up until March 27th coming in the UFC? Let me know in the comments. Let me know on the Huddle Chat Sports Facebook and Twitter. We can talk about it next week. Like I said, we got a lot of things coming in the UFC, so you're definitely going to hear a lot more UFC speak here on THC Sports. Now, switching gears just really quick. Let me take a sip of my juice. I'd like to give you guys a word from our sponsor. Are you a gamer? Otherwise known as a real life person with a normal day-to-day life that still performs in his day-to-day life and then tries to compete with those who don't have a life when it comes to the video game world? Are you absolutely tired of wasting all that money pounding those expensive energy drinks and sugary energy drinks that just leave you crashing at the end of it? Well, it's time for you to be a beast and try out MAW Energy and Focus. With MAW Energy and Focus, you can dominate and energize your performance with a energy formula made specifically for gamers by gamers. Now, using my link, which I will drop down in the comments of the video and I will post on the YouTube links as well, you can get 10% off your first 60 servings of MAW Energy. 60 servings of MAW Energy is worth more than $150 of Red Bull. So don't let long days or hard crashes ruin your gaming or experience. Try out MAW Energy, be a beast, and game like one. MAW Energy, stay focused, and be a beast. Now again, as you know, the Huddle Chat Sports Show is sponsored by MAW Energy, but I wouldn't bring anything and I wouldn't sponsor anything on my channel that I don't enjoy. MAW Energy has some great flavors. My favorite right now is the cherry limeade. They do have the RIP Harambe flavor, which is one of their biggest ones that they sell. They have a lot of different flavors. And they, like I said, they have a lot of different mixtures for you as well. Me personally, when I do my energy in the morning, I go with a nice 2 scoops. It gives me a nice intense mix, and it gives me the right amount of flavor that I'm looking for. If you use G Fuel or other products similar, or like I said, you drink Red Bull or other energy drinks, stop wasting your money and try out MAW Energy. And I'll drop you my link so that you can try that out and get the 10% discount. And if you're willing to, if you're still not quite sure whether you want to purchase it or not, with MAW Energy, you can actually try your first 60 servings for free before you use the 10% discount with the 1-month trial that they will send you. Like I said, you just got to use my link, and I will drop that down in the comment section in the YouTube and on the Facebook live stream as well. So, switching back one more time. Now, earlier in the episode today, I asked you guys, what do you think are going to be your earliest, or what do you think is going to happen in the coming NFL season? What do you think is going to happen 2021? I know we are 2 days after the Super Bowl. The season just ended. We aren't even officially in the off season yet. How can you play this fool's game picking what's going to happen in the future? But that's the name of the game as a sports analyst. That's what we do here. We try to take different statistics, different facts, and different opinions and make sense out of it and try to figure out the future. So here on the Huddle Chat Sports Show, we're getting ready to play a fool's game, and we are going to talk about what are your predictions for the 2021 NFL season COVID, pending and all that. What's going to happen next season? What do you think? Who is going to win the NFC Championship? Who is going to win the AFC Championship? Who's going to the Super Bowl? I got to look at the chat. It seems, honestly, as you can see over here, my chat doesn't seem to be working. I can't read it on the stream. So I might have to look down. Give me just one moment. We are going to see what everybody thinks about, and I'm going to give you my opinion. So give me just one moment. All right, well, I'm having an issue pulling up my chat today. I apologize about that. I will definitely make sure to get all of y'all opinions up on the Huddle Chat Sports page, and thank you for everybody who has posted their opinions in the comments, and it's not too late. Get a conversation started. Who do you think is going to the Super Bowl next year? Who do you think is winning the NFC and AFC Championship? I'm going to tell you my predictions right now. Going over on the NFC side, I think that we're going to be looking at the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. I mean, they proved to me this year as an NFL fan that they are the real deal. The only thing that stood in the way of the San Francisco 49ers this year from returning to the NFC Championship game was the injury bug. I mean, damn. George Kittle got injured twice. Their starting quarterback, Jimmy G, got injured. He was gone all season. Raheem Mostert, my fantasy team could not take a fourth injury from Raheem Mostert this season. He was injured every goddamn week, it seemed like. At least every other week, Raheem Mostert was out the game. And then you look at the backups. Jerick McKinnon was out for the rest of the game. Like I said, George Kittle missed the entire season. You had all their pass catchers missing time. All their running backs and backups missing time. Their starting quarterback gets injured. I believe their second string quarterback got injured at a certain point. They're using their third string quarterback. And they were still a team to compete with. They were still a tough team. They still put up statistics. And Kyle Shanahan did what he could with that team. And he's got the mind that if the San Francisco 49ers can stay healthy, they're going to be returning to the NFC Championship. And they're going to be facing the Los Angeles Rams. I think that Matthew Stafford trade is going to push the Los Angeles Rams over the limit, over the hump, and they're going to be able to return to the Super Bowl. So we're going to be looking at the NFC Championship being two previous NFC champions from the last few years. I see the Los Angeles Rams and Matthew Stafford beating the San Francisco 49ers and taking that spot and representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. Like I said, Matthew Stafford is a good quarterback, and he's actually going to be what the Los Angeles Rams need to take that next step. Like I said last week, and if you haven't seen my episode last week, I'll make sure to drop a link in the description and in the comments. Last week we discussed in depth that Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford trade, and I think obviously the Rams and Matthew Stafford come out on top of that trade because they are instantly ready to become a contending team. They've been a contending team with the quarterback situation they had before, and they think in their mind that they are improving with Matthew Stafford. And I as well believe the same thing. They've got a complete team. They've got the defense. They've got the run game. They've got the offensive line. They've got the pass catchers. And now they've got the quarterback, the veteran, the leadership. And they're going to be able to win their division, win their conference, and represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Now, going over on the AFC side, I think nothing's going to stop Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs from doing the same thing that they did this year, getting to the AFC championship. They hit a couple of small bumps on the road. Throughout the NFL season, you were able to see the Kansas City Chiefs beat by some teams like they shouldn't have been by, like the Los Angeles Chargers, who I do think are going to have an absolutely amazing season next year, but they are going to fall just short of the AFC Championship game, getting beat by my favorites in the NFC, the Buffalo Bills. They were my favorites coming in this last season. Josh Allen was my favorite for the MVP award for the first half of the season. I thought the Buffalo Bills were going to absolutely steamroll the competition in the AFC, and I can't lie to you, I thought fate and I thought luck would be in Buffalo's favor, and I thought Kansas City was going to lose a little bit earlier in the playoffs, and ultimately Buffalo wouldn't have to face them, and they would be the most dominant team in the AFC playoffs. But that's not going to happen next year. They're going to get their rematch. They're going to get their they're going to get the final say, and ultimately Bills Mafia and Josh Allen are going to get over the hump, and they're going to take over the Kansas City Chiefs and the young Patrick Mahomes from getting to a third straight Super Bowl. And I think that the Buffalo Bills are not only going to win the AFC Championship, they're going to win it all and shock the world. I think the Buffalo Bills get over on top of the Los Angeles Rams just because the Buffalo Bills will have a more dominant offense than the Los Angeles Rams. Ultimately, Matt Stafford has been there for 1 year. Now, you saw what Tom Brady was able to do in the Super Bowl this season. I think if you, like, when they were talking pregame in the Super Bowl, they pointed to Tom Brady in weeks 1, weeks 4, weeks 5, just a couple different clips of Tom Brady coming out of the huddle, still looking at the quarterback bracelet, not quite knowing the plays, not being able to call plays confidently, and that's going to be an issue for Matthew Stafford come late in the season, just not quite knowing the system, not being the same system that he's been used to for the last 18 years. It's not going to be a big struggle for Matthew Stafford, but it's going to be just enough for the Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills and that camaraderie and Bills Mafia to shock the world and win the Super Bowl. Now, as a Colts fan, I can't realistically put the Colts in any prediction until I see the Indianapolis Colts sign a quarterback. Now, pointing to that direction, we will be talking about what in the world is going to happen with the Indianapolis Colts quarterback situation. It was all lies. It was all rumor. Andrew Luck's not coming back. He's not coming back to save us. He's not going to be the Michael Jordan of the NFL. Phillip Rivers is retired, and we didn't really want him anyway. Jacoby Brissett is a free agent at the end of on March 9th, unless we re-sign him. And then we got Jacob Eason, the 4th-round quarterback from next year. So we're going to be talking next week about what the Indianapolis Colts are going to do. And until the Indianapolis Colts make that decision and sign that quarterback, I can't realistically put them in any prediction. I think they make the AFC wild card depending. Like I said, I can't even make a prediction about the Indianapolis Colts. Can't even start it until I know what we do at quarterback. And that's something we're going to be discussing about next week. Now, of course, like I said, next week we're going to be talking about the Indianapolis Colts quarterback situation. We're going to be discussing probably a little bit about this weekend's UFC events and what happened. We're going to be talking about the big NBA MVP talks that we had. Like I said, do not forget to drop it in the comments. I'll make posts on the Facebook, on the Twitter, the different pages that I have. Please make sure you interact with those. Let me know who you think is going to be the 2020-2021 NBA MVP this season. And that's going to be something else we're going to be discussing next week and many more. But I cannot thank y'all enough for tuning in to this week's episode. For those of y'all who watched live on Facebook, who are watching me right now, who are going to be watching me and are listening on YouTube, and in the future who are going to be listening to this on all your favorite audio versions available where you listen to your favorite podcast. I can't thank you guys enough. I cannot. Like I said, the support that comes from you guys is absolutely amazing. And I can't wait for next week's episode, just like I hope you can. And like I said before, big shouts out and big thank you to Tampa Bay and Hillsborough County's COVID response, especially when it came to the Super Bowl. They were some people that really made it possible for us all to enjoy this weekend and for it to feel like a regular Super Bowl. For all those that are interested in my Indo is my Nindo gaming page, I will be going live here in about 10 to 15 minutes for the remainder of the evening on my Indo is my Nindo, gaming with the boys if they are online, and if not, we are going to be getting on one of the story games. I got some new games downloaded, so we'll be hopping on that. But anyway, y'all, I'd like to thank you again so much for tuning in to this installment of the Huddle Chat Sports Show presented by Ma Energy. Again, I will see y'all next week. Every episode coming live on Facebook on Tuesdays between 8:15 and 8:30 Mountain Standard Time. And then again, they'll be getting posted on YouTube and soon to be posted where you listen to your favorite podcast. My name is Indo is my Nindo. This is your favorite cannabis-powered, yet sports-driven talk show, and we are out of here until next week. I can't wait to see y'all, and I hope y'all stay high, stay safe, and stay blazing out there. And I hope y'all buds stay beautiful. Much love, and thank y'all so much, man. I'm out of here. Peace out.
I may be covered in cat hair, but I still smell good. Baby, let me know how to in the middle of the afternoon on some